It started years before the wedding. My sister, Melissa, never truly forgave me for one decision. She dated my best friend, Andrew, for almost 2 years. They were perfect together, or that's what everyone believed. Andrew was loyal, kind, and hardworking. But one night, Melissa found flirty messages on his phone. Nothing physical, just words. Still, it was enough for her to burn everything down. She ended it instantly and called him a liar. She told everyone he was a cheater who couldn't be trusted. Andrew came to me devastated, eyes red, hands shaking. He admitted his mistake but swore he never crossed the line. I told him he was wrong, but I also said love deserved a second chance. Melissa didn't agree. She demanded I cut him out of my life completely. I refused. He had been my brother since we were kids. We survived college, heartbreaks, and loss together. I couldn't abandon him over one stupid mistake. Melissa exploded. She screamed that I betrayed family for friendship. She said I was just another man protecting bad behavior. That night, she walked out and didn't speak to me for months. I thought time would heal her anger. I was wrong. Melissa wasn't the type to forgive. She was the type to plan. She buried her resentment deep and waited. Years later, when Samantha came into my life, Melissa saw her opportunity. At first, she was sweet and welcoming. She introduced us at a party, acting like she was doing me a favor. Samantha and Melissa clicked instantly. They texted every day, shopped together, shared private jokes. I thought it was great that my sister and girlfriend got along. My friends said it was weird that they seemed too close. I brushed it off as paranoia, but looking back, it was the first sign. Melissa studied me for years. She knew how I thought, what I loved, and what could break me. She saw how much I trusted Samantha. She knew how much money I poured into the relationship, and she knew exactly how to use that trust against me. When Samantha and I got engaged, Melissa smiled and offered to help with everything. She wanted to plan the bridal shower, pick the dress, and organize the bachelorette party. I thought she was trying to make peace. She was. Every conversation, every favor, every suggestion was part of her quiet preparation. She was building the perfect setup for revenge. A scheme that would look like celebration, but end as betrayal. I had no idea I was the main target. I didn't see the calculation behind her kindness. I only saw a sister who seemed to finally move on. But under that calm, she was sharpening her plan like a blade. And the first strike would come disguised as a gift. The bachelorette weekend was supposed to be a celebration. Samantha had been counting the days. Melissa offered to handle everything, saying she wanted it to be unforgettable. She chose a luxury villa in Napa Valley, surrounded by vineyards and private pools. I paid for it all, $5,000 without hesitation. Samantha kissed me goodbye that morning, promising she would behave. I believed her. That was my first mistake. The weekend began with spa sessions, expensive dinners, and endless wine. Melissa made sure everything looked innocent on the surface. But under the laughter, she was setting her trap. She hired 2 male entertainers for the second night. She told the girls it was just harmless fun, a joke before marriage. But for her, it was the main act. The men arrived late in the evening, tall, charming, confident. Music played, drinks poured, and the air turned heavy. Melissa whispered to Samantha that it was her last night of freedom. She encouraged her to let go, to do something wild, to feel alive. Samantha resisted at first, embarrassed, but the alcohol was strong and the pressure stronger. Around midnight, one of the entertainers, a muscular guy named Jake, started paying special attention to her. He knew exactly what to say, how to touch her hand, how to lean in close. It wasn't random. Melissa had paid him extra, told him details about Samantha, her insecurities, her weak spots. Jake wasn't flirting. He was performing a job. As the night went on, the other girls started falling asleep in the living room. Melissa stayed awake, watching closely. She saw Samantha and Jake disappear into the master bedroom. She didn't stop them. She stood outside the door, guarding it. When someone asked where they went, she smiled and said, "Some secrets are worth keeping." An hour later, laughter echoed from the hallway. Melissa took photos of the closed door, texting someone with satisfaction. To her, this wasn't betrayal. It was revenge. She wanted proof. Proof that would destroy my wedding, my trust, my peace. By morning, Samantha woke up hungover and ashamed. Melissa told her nothing happened. She said it was just a blur, a silly mistake no one would ever know. She promised to keep the secret. She even hugged Samantha and told her she was safe. But behind her smile, Melissa was already planning her next step. When Samantha came home Sunday night, she was quiet. Her eyes didn't meet mine. I asked about the weekend, and she said it was fun but exhausting. I saw guilt flicker for just a second, but I ignored it. I wanted to believe her. I kissed her forehead and told her how much I missed her. Melissa texted me later that night, thanking me for covering the trip. She wrote, "It was a weekend to remember." I didn't realize how true those words were. That night, while I slept beside the woman I thought I'd marry, the betrayal was already complete. The first crack appeared on Monday morning. My phone rang while I was at work. It was Andrew. His voice was low, shaking like he hadn't slept. He said he heard something I needed to know. I thought maybe it was gossip, maybe wedding stress. But then he said Melissa's name. My stomach dropped. He told me one of his gym friends mentioned a wild bachelorette party in Napa. He said someone bragged about the sister of the groom, laughing about her perfect revenge. Those words froze me. Revenge. I closed my office door, heart pounding. Andrew's voice trembled as he said, "Ethan, they're saying Samantha cheated on you." I hung up. I couldn't breathe. I stared at my computer screen, trying to convince myself it was a misunderstanding. But deep down, I already knew something was wrong. That evening, I went home early. Samantha greeted me with a soft smile, too soft, too forced. The house was spotless, unnaturally clean. She never cleaned that much. Her laundry basket was empty, her perfume too strong. I asked how the weekend went. She gave short answers, no details, just it was fun. And nothing crazy happened. I watched her eyes. They darted away every time I looked at her. She touched her neck repeatedly, a nervous habit she'd had since college. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I'm not impulsive. I deal in facts, not emotions. If she betrayed me, I needed proof. I started with the joint credit card. The villa rental cost $3,200, but I had given her $5,000. The rest was unaccounted for. When I asked, she said it went to spa treatments and shopping. No receipts, no photos, just excuses. That night I lay awake beside her. Every breath she took felt like a lie. I couldn't rest. I needed answers. The next day during lunch, I texted my cousin Ava, who was at the party. I asked if anything strange happened. She called me 5 minutes later. Her voice was quiet but firm. "I was wondering when you'd ask." She told me Melissa had hired male strippers and encouraged everyone to let loose. She said around midnight, Samantha disappeared with one of them into the master bedroom. Melissa stood outside the door, making sure no one went in. She even joked, "What happens here stays here." I felt my world collapse. My chest tightened, but I forced myself to think clearly. Ava said she saw Melissa taking pictures, texting, acting proud. I thanked her and hung up. Then I called my lawyer. I asked what happens if a fiancé cheats before marriage. He said with proof, it changes everything legally. Proof, that's what I needed. That afternoon, I drove to Napa. The property manager recognized me as the one who paid. I asked if there were cameras. She nodded and showed me footage. At 12:52 a.m., there was Samantha in a bathrobe, hair messy, walking out with a half-dressed man. Behind them, Melissa taking photos. I asked for a copy. She burned it to a drive and handed it to me. I sat in my car for an hour, staring at the screen, watching the betrayal play over and over. The woman I loved, the sister I trusted, both smiling while they destroyed me. I didn't confront her that night. I needed to stay calm. My job taught me that emotions ruin strategy. I went home, watched her plan our wedding as if nothing had happened. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through flower arrangements, smiling. My chest burned, but my face stayed still. I asked her casually if anything unusual happened at the party. She froze for a second, then said no. I told her I had security footage. Her face drained of color. Then came the tears. She said it didn't mean anything. She said Melissa told her it was normal, that every bride did something wild. I listened in silence. Her words sounded rehearsed. When I got home that night, the house was silent. Samantha was sitting on the floor, surrounded by tissues and broken dreams. She looked up, eyes red, shaking. She said her parents hated her, that her father called her a disgrace. I didn't respond. I just sat across from her and watched her fall apart. She asked how long I had known. I told her long enough to collect proof. She accused me of setting a trap. I said I simply showed the truth. She cried harder, begging me not to ruin her life. But her life was already ruined. She had done it herself. 2 weeks after the canceled wedding, my lawyer filed the lawsuit. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. Melissa had crossed every line and she needed to be held accountable. The documents detailed her manipulation, her payments to the entertainer, and the emotional damage she caused. Her attorney tried to negotiate, but I refused. I wanted it on record. Every lie, every act of deceit. Her parents had to use their retirement savings to cover her legal fees. She cried in court, saying she never meant to ruin my life. I told the judge she succeeded anyway. 6 months later, everything felt different. My world wasn't broken anymore. It was rebuilt. I woke up early every day, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I went for runs at sunrise, feeling the air cut clean through my chest. The pain was gone, replaced by focus. I bought new furniture, repainted the walls, and left no trace of the past. My phone was quiet, my mind even quieter. Sometimes I thought about Samantha and Melissa, not with hate, just with distance. They were chapters, not anchors. Their choices had freed me more than I ever realized. I no longer needed revenge or validation. I had both the truth and my peace. My life became mine again, fully and finally. The man they tried to break was gone. What remained was someone stronger, colder, wiser. Someone who learned that silence can be the loudest kind of victory.